Here on the Radio Wammo Breakfast. Time to welcome back Ben Young into the studio at bwagy.com and twitter.com/Bwaggy as well. Welcome back, Ben.
Good morning.
For the best ideas are free. The final episode, and it's good
Final
chance
show.
it's a good chance to reflect and look back on the many shows that you've had in here now.
Yeah.
When did you start? Do you remember?
It was a few years ago. It was when I launched my book, The Best Ideas Are Free, which kicked off the whole stream. I think that was...
And you were doing a regular blog on the Herald website.
Yeah. I think that was September 20th, 2009.
There you go.
So it's been 2.5 years.
Yeah. Of ideas.
Ideas.
And inspiration on a Monday.
Where did I get them all from? Who knows?
Yes. So what were some of the good ones you think? I mean, they're all, they're all of a suitable standard.
So my argument is they're all excellent. It's just some are more desirable than others.
That's it.
So the top 5, interestingly, was number 1 was TEDx and unconferences.
Right. Yep.
Which is, I think that got a little bit of coverage from a few local blogs when we ran the local TEDx here.
And now, I mean, the idea of an unconference back in 2009, reasonably new, sort of fresh thing. Now, so many are just done that way, right?
People are used to the standard now.
Yeah.
Next one, and this was actually quite recent, so it's done quite well. Nude hospital gowns.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember talking about that.
Yeah.
It was interesting. And then the others were a little bit business focused. Risk homeostasis, Parkinson's law, and the Matthew effect.
Yeah.
So that was people balancing risk. If someone's risky in some part of their life, they'll be less risky in another part.
Right. Yeah.
So like maybe risky in personal life, not risky in professional, vice versa. Parkinson's law, which is people will fill the time allotted to fulfill a task.
Yes.
If you give someone 40 hours, chances are it'll take them 40 hours.
I'm terrible at that.
The Matthew effect, which talks about the rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
Mm.
And the final one was Kiwi Food Camp, so another event-based one.
Yeah.
And so I think it's been a few years since I went to that food camp, so I think just subsequent years have checked it out. But all very cool. Like over the years we've talked about hospitals, we've talked about developing countries, we've talked about growing the economy here in New Zealand, we've talked about ideas for doing that, we've talked about Rugby World Cup, I think we've even talked about taxation, so we've talked right across the board.
On startups, entrepreneurs, all that side of thing around the world, not just here in New Zealand.
Yeah. It's about finding and highlighting new ideas to help us think and rethink what we're doing.
So all that is archived at bwagy.com. So what have we got today, though?
Yeah, so for the final one, because I thought it might be a few years before you and I get back together, so I thought, why don't I do something that's probably going to drive the next 2 or 3 years?
Okay, cool.
And so at the moment we're at this real intersection of cheap components, interconnected devices, and skilled/motivated developers. And this is kind of the same situation we were in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s when we were looking at home PCs, developing the internet, developing gaming devices, all that kind of stuff, the real hobbyist era. And we're kind of at that next hobbyist era where we're looking at hardware innovation. Like there's things that have just launched like the electric imp, and it's a little SD card. Well, it's the size of an SD card. They've built a little computer into that. And if you plug that and install it into any powered device, you can then control that device. So it's a way of enabling home automation. Like for example, if you install this into every power slot in your house, you could control it over the Wi-Fi and control each of those devices.
Wow. Essentially the size of a SIM card, practically, isn't it?
Yeah, tiny.
Yeah, okay.
So the idea of that is that anyone can get them, install them. They cost about $25, so really, really cheap. It'll be interesting to see what people do with that. Installing them in your car, maybe installing it on your mountain bike. Who knows? And then we've got things like the MakerBot, which is a 3D printer. Yep. And so a 3D printer is what it says on the box. It allows you to print objects, and you can download designs for them off the internet and print them. And with the MakerBot, you can actually put it in factory mode so that you can tell it to print things all 24/7. So it'll print it and then clear the production floor.
And I hear there's now a model that comes in under $1,000 for consumers.
Yeah. So the cheapest model I think is $799. You have to self-assemble it, but that's not too bad. The lead time is about 6 weeks. Because they're in such demand. You can get a fully assembled one for about $2,000. But either way, it's a great little way of creating objects. And in the office, we don't have a 3D printer yet, but we're looking at making a few like statues or celebrations, like awards to give clients or staff to say, look, you're the hero of the week, or, MVP, as we're calling it. And then the other thing is it's called the little printer. And we're seeing a lot of these. This was announced a couple of days ago on Springwise. So a little printer, it's just a little box, a little bit bigger than a matchbox.
Yeah.
And it'll print straight off the internet a little newspaper for you. So you can do it to do things like pull in your Facebook feed, pull in your favourite news, pull in weather recommendations, maybe a little puzzle, maybe one of your favourite blogs. Or they've even paired up with Nike, and it can pull in how your fitness is going. So I can give you a little fitness update. Last week you ran X miles or something like that.
But printed out.
Yeah.
Seems to defeat the digital sort of purpose.
Yeah, so that's the interesting thing about it. Once you set it up, you can browse it on your iPhone app. Or you can browse it through the website. But the idea is you walk into the office or wake up in the morning and you can ask it to just print you a little digest so you can read with your coffee or on the way to work or something like that.
Oh, yeah, cool.
And it's a great little innovation where you're not quite sure what it's going to do in the end, but you can see the bones of how these things are going to work together. Like, for example, it could be you jump on the bus and it gives you a daily digest. Or it could be where you live, it prints you the latest news of, say the Ponsonby News or that kind of thing. Or these devices could be installed in homes and it prints out alerts. Because there's certain things around texts and cell phones are good, but it's not always 100% that you'll be able to reach that person.
True.
So there's a lot of little mechanisms that we could use.
Yeah, cool.
And that's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow, some great stuff on the horizon that I'm sure one day we'll all be using. It'll just be passé.
Well, next time we talk, I'm sure we'll be using them. If not, we'll have to fake it.
Well, Ben, really appreciate your contributions to the show over the past few years, and taking time out of your busy schedule to come in here and give us some of your knowledge and whatnot. It's been great.
That's right. It's been tons of fun.
Yeah, and it will all live on the internet.
YouTube.
You'll be able to go through the whole thing and live it all again. The archives.
40 years from now.
Exactly. Thanks very much, Ben.
Okay, cheers.
bwagy.com.